It's happened. Hemp is going mainstream. Hey, I'm Morgan Davis. I'm a health and wellness attorney based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's talk about how to keep your business protected and thriving. A couple of weeks ago, Target made the announcement that in Minnesota, they are going to start carrying hemp THC beverages. This is the announcement that lots of people in the hemp industry have been waiting for years. The adoption of big box retail chains of hemp products. We thought we almost saw it a couple of years ago with CVS and Curaleaf, but that didn't happen. And so everybody's been waiting to see who will be the first to jump in. Target made an announcement and everyone's excited. So today we're going to talk about how hemp, especially hemp beverage, has made its way through the squeeze of the last couple of years. How retail gets real. Consumers are driving the change, and the numbers don't lie. 1, Target. So, Target has announced that it's going to carry a number of hemp THC beverages in its Minnesota as a test state. We saw Circle K do this in 2 states. We've seen Total Wine do this in Minnesota. Now Total Wine is selling hemp beverages across the country in a number of states. We saw DoorDash start out in Minnesota. So everyone's hope is that it will go the same way, that Target will do the test case in Minnesota, and then THC beverages will be available in Targets nationwide. What does this mean for the hemp industry? Think about it. When a huge player, a national retail chain, picks up cannabis beverages, THC beverages, whatever you want to call them, that's a signal that the industry is leaving the niche area we've been in and moving into the mainstream commerce channels everybody hoped it would. It also means that it's under a much bigger microscope in terms of packaging, labeling, certificates of analysis, but also marketing, explaining to consumers what your product is and why your product is better than the hemp beverage sitting next to you is going to get even harder. Because we can't, as an industry, talk about effectiveness from a health perspective, or really we can only use anecdotal evidence, and even that's been severely limited. How do you get across to a consumer, a first-time consumer, what the benefits of a THC beverage are? How do you make a decision as to what milligrams you're going to use? Some of that's taken care of for you by state regulations, but there's still a lot of variability. Enter in the next phase for the hemp industry. What happens when we go mainstream, and who will come out on the other side? We've been watching as all these states squeeze the hemp industry. Texas, Ohio, California, Michigan, Wisconsin, the list goes on and on. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and all wondering, where will we come out? But at the same time that's happening, we're watching what happens all the time, which is money speaks, consumers speak, and the market will determine where we go next. And the market is saying, definitely when it comes to hemp beverage, the party's on. Total Wine, Target, Circle K, DoorDash. In a recent poll, 72% of Americans support the hemp industry continuing to thrive and exist. That's 3 in 4. Now, a lot of them are also for regulation, and of course, in a poll, what regulation means is open to interpretation. But if 72% of America wants hemp to continue to exist, that means it's here to stay. In a recent report, we're entering the $1 billion mark for what this industry is worth, especially on the beverage side. So some days, we all get tired of hearing how this state's shutting down, or that product can no longer be sold here, or that milligram cap is there, or another state's taken on a total THC standard. And we get tired of hearing that the federal government is trying to close the loophole. But while you're having to listen to all that buzz, remember that the market is telling you hemp especially hemp beverage, is thriving. Why now? What's happening? Part of this has to deal with time, right? Time has passed. The 2018 Farm Bill is now many, many years in existence, and we're no longer in our infancy. In addition to that, we are watching brands innovate and find a path forward for themselves, especially in the beverage space, that is relatable to the everyday, first-time, or occasional consumer. And that's the majority of America. The majority of America is occasionally using cannabis, or maybe a first-time cannabis user. And if you can pick up those consumers, then that's where you really start picking up speed. And we're starting to see some brands do that super, super well. Cann was named Time's Food and Beverage Innovation of 2025, right? It made Time's list, Time Magazine's list for 2025. That's huge, a cannabis beverage. What does that say? That says we're going beyond the vape shop, the hemp shop, the cannabis culture, and we are now in mainstream culture. What happens when you want to be in the mainstream with your company? For manufacturers, that means certified good manufacturing practices. That means mass ability to produce. You've got to have standard operating procedures. You've got to have really dialed in chain of custody. You've got to have good manufacturing partners if you're not manufacturing it yourself. You've got to have good contracts that help you keep those partners trustworthy and reliable. And you've got to have a good team that understands where you're going and how to get there, which means hiring professionals from other industries who've already done this before. For wholesalers, that means being able to serve many, many different masters on a state-by-state basis. Now, if you're a wholesaler coming from the liquor or beer industry, you already do this, right? But if you're a wholesaler who's in the hemp industry, you're used to being fast and quick and light on your feet, but also not having a whole lot of regulation or enforcement against you. As you move into these mainstream spaces where you're having to deliver on time and according to the protocols of Target, that changes drastically. For retailers, you're now in competition with Target, right? Now, maybe that's not your competition point, but understand, why are those who are maybe first-time users or occasional users going to make an extra stop at the smoke shop when they can just go to Target and pick up their THC beverage? How are you going to continue to keep your customer base loyal to you? How are you going to service them? Is it making your retail experience more user-friendly for more than just your high-dose user? Something you'll need to think about as more and more mainstream retailers take on these products. So what's the bottom line? It's happening. Hemp is no longer the niche product or the one that we don't talk about or being sold at that shop over there that everybody goes to but nobody wants to talk positively about, right? It's mainstream. It's where we're all shopping for everything else we buy on a daily basis. That means now strategy and compliance and understanding your customer base is only more important, not less important. Yes, we have arrived at the next stage of this industry, but we haven't arrived. We've still got a lot more work to do. So while you're deciding where your goals are for the next 2 to 3 years, and if it's a big box chain, and if it's a national brand, then you need to start having conversations with yourself and your team about, are you really ready for that? And if you're not, give us a call because we'd love to help you get there.